Hi guys, welcome to my channel. We've got a really fun topic for you today, and that is travel hacking made easy, how I personally save thousands of dollars every year on international travel. So let's dive in and I'll show you how it's done. My name is Kristen. I've been travel hacking pretty extensively since 2016. In 2018, I had enough points and miles to pay for a good chunk of my gap year trip around South America and Europe. And I continue to travel hack to this day by getting new credit cards every 6 months or so, which typically allow me to purchase one round trip international flight. So this saves a huge chunk of my travel costs. If you haven't already, check out my latest video, which is about how I travel 3 months internationally each year, including all of the costs of how I afford to do that while still paying rent in the US. But let's dive in. So, just to get you up to speed on travel hacking. So, travel hacking is genuinely just using credit card points and miles to redeem for free travel. So that's the most simplistic definition. There's really no mysterious trick behind it. I think that's what can scare a lot of people is, number one, it sounds too good to be true. And typically in finance, when something is offered up as free, it is too good to be true. But I promise you, this is not one of those things. I'm very fiscally conservative and I don't take a lot of risks when it comes to my finances, but travel hacking, once you get it down to a science, is a sure thing, not a risk at all. So we'll go through some tips and best practices now. I've got 6 steps lined up for you that we'll go through, and if you follow these step-by-step instructions, you will be successful with your travel hacking, I promise. So step 1, before you start researching, which I know is the fun part and you're super excited about, you actually want to first check your credit score. So I know this is the part that you may just dread doing, but I promise if you follow me here and just do what I do, you're going to feel so much more confident diving into travel hacking. So I use Credit Karma to check my score, and none of the companies I'm going to mention in this video are sponsored, so keep that in mind. This is just simply what I do and who I like. So go to creditkarma.com. You can sign up for their free account, which will enable you to check your credit score as frequently as you want. And they will report to you at least 2 of the 3 credit reporting agencies and what your score is with them. So check a couple. They should be pretty similar. If not, that may raise a red flag to you, and you may want to pull your full credit report from the one that looks the most glaring, but they should be similar within 10 points or so. So when checking your credit score, a couple of things to think about. First is you want to make sure your credit score is above 670 before you even think about applying for a new credit card. We want our application to be accepted and not denied, so that's very important. Number 2, you want to think about your hard credit inquiries. It's a little bit hard to say, but you want to keep it under 6 hard credit inquiries in a 2-year period. There we go. So yeah, don't apply for new credit cards every day because that's going to really impact the amount of hard credit inquiries you have. And this makes up about 10% of your credit score. A biggie on your credit score, which is 30%, is your credit utilization ratio, which this simply means the total amount of debt or credit card balances you have divided by the total amount of credit that was extended to you across all of your different loans and lines of credit. So, for example, if you have $10,000 in lines of credit, but you only have balances at about $1,000, your credit utilization ratio is going to be 10%. So it's really important to keep this as low as possible. And as you can see, travel hacking may actually help this credit utilization ratio because you may have more lines of credit extended to you. So that denominator may grow larger, which makes that ratio smaller. So that is actually a good thing. One other honorable mention here is one factor, another about 10% of your credit score is your age of credit. So always make sure to keep open your oldest credit card or your longest line of credit, even if you just leave it with a $0 balance, which is what I do. Before travel hacking, if you do have any credit card debt, I do not encourage you to travel hack. I would rather you focus on paying off your credit card debt and getting all of your balances to zero and sustaining that for about a year before starting to look into travel hacking. So keep that in mind. So that is step 1. Step 2 is I want you to have your end goal in mind. So visualize a trip that you want to use these points for within the next 6 months or so. And for example, my trip is I want to go to Europe, and I want to do that within the next 4 to 6 months. And so now I need to think about, okay, well, what cost of that trip do I want to use these points or miles towards? And so my options are I can use them for my airfare, or I could use them for more so on the ground expenses like hotels or accommodations or train tickets, etc. So for me, it's way more valuable to just use them for airfare because that cost is non-negotiable. When it comes to on-the-ground expenses, I can do things to save money, like stay in an Airbnb instead of a hotel, or I could take the bus instead of the train. So the airfare is the biggest non-negotiable, so I'm going to go after airline points. And specifically, I also need to think about which airlines I would need to use. So I'm leaving from Knoxville, Tennessee, which is a smaller airport. So I really need to chase points from United, American, or Delta, the bigger, more global airlines. And even if the points aren't directly from American, I need to make sure that the credit card points I'm getting, I can transfer over to American or to United or to Delta. So definitely go through that exercise to plan out how you may want to use these points and miles. Step 3, this is the fun part. It's time to research. So what I like to use, my first stop is thepointsguy.com. This is an awesome website resource, and it does a lot of the heavy lifting for you. Monthly, they post an article called Best Travel Rewards Cards. So normally I peruse through that article. And, you know, even when you're on that article, if you see a couple cards you like, they have expanded long form blog posts about each of those cards. And it goes through exactly the bonus points you're going to get, how much you have to spend to get those bonus points, the annual fee. And it even gives you some ideas about how you could redeem those points. So it's a really great resource. So when I was doing the research for my trip, I went to that article and I found a card that I think would perfectly fit my criteria. It is the City Premier card. And right now they have a limited time offer, which credit cards will sometimes do, which gives you even more bonus points and miles. So this offer is 80,000 points, which is worth about $1,440 in free travel. So that's amazing. That's for sure a round trip flight to Europe, if not 2, if I can find a really good deal. There's a really low annual fee on this card, only $95 a year, which is definitely what I was looking for. So this seems like the perfect option. The only thing that I was hesitant when I first started looking at it was that you have to spend $4,000 on this card in the first 3 months to get that bonus reward. However, it is now September, so a lot of the spending I'm going to be doing is probably going to be holiday gifts and all of that within that first 3 months. So I feel confident that when I think ahead to how I'm going to be spending on this card, I can achieve that $4,000 spend. So that's excited. I've done my research and I figured out which card I want to get. So that brings me to the next step. Step 4 is to go in and apply for the card. So most credit card applications don't take too long. Typically, they take 15 minutes. One thing to think about when you're filling out your credit card application, if you are married, it's probably going to have a place where you can put your spouse's info if you want them to be a joint card holder with you. Some credit card companies will also do a hard credit inquiry for them them as well. So typically, me and my husband just apply for these cards completely separately. We just keep everything separate. So I'll have a card and then he'll get a card. And it really allows us to maximize what we do in terms of travel hacking. So that's a really great kind of pro tip for you guys when applying for the credit card. I don't think you'll see anything unusual in most credit card applications. Remember, it will run a hard credit inquiry, so make sure that you're pretty darn serious about the credit card before applying. Okay, so step 5, after you've applied for your card and you've received your card, you're ready to spend. So make sure to meet that bonus points requirement spend. So the example we talked about, that city card, it was $4,000 within the first 3 months. Typically, it's going to be a 3-month thing. Most credit cards, it's anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000 in the first 3 months. So make sure to do that. What I normally do is I put all my other credit cards away and I just focus on spending on this one card. Some other things you can do to maximize your your spend during the first 3 months is consider putting things like rent on your credit card. My last landlord did allow us to pay our rent with our credit card and pay just like a 3% processing fee, and we found that to be worth it sometimes to be able to get the amount of bonus points we were going to get. There's also a concept called manufactured spend, and what manufactured spend is it's essentially going out and, for example, going to the grocery store you normally shop at and buying a ton of gift cards, and maybe even selling those gift cards online then. So just kind of getting creative about the way that you're spending money to make sure you can reach those the spend for the bonus points. Now, typically, I have not had to do any type of manufactured spending. That's a little bit more advanced, and I'm just not there yet in my journey and not really interested, frankly, in all of the kind of scheming and wheeling and dealing you have to do to get that manufactured spend. So don't worry about that too much. What I recommend instead is pick a card with a bonus spend that you feel like you can reasonably accomplish, and then just do so. Okay, so that was step 5. Step 6 now is to eventually close some of your old credit cards so you don't have to pay the annual fee month over month when you're not actually getting the rewards anymore or the big bonus. So we apply for new credit cards about every 6 months to do this travel hacking thing. So for example, if I'm going to apply and get a new credit card in December, then 3 months later, let's say March, I may want to think about closing one of my old credit cards. And then in July, I'll apply for a new one. And then 3 months after that, I'll close an old one. So that's kind of the cycle that I get on. Again, I never close my oldest credit card. I keep that one open because I want that age of credit to look more positive. But yeah, so what I recommend is consider closing some of your old cards so you don't have 5,000 different credit cards and you're not paying a bunch of annual fees. But make sure every time you close a card to look at your credit score impact, because again, that will impact your credit utilization ratio. So close a card, look at the impact before deciding to apply for any new cards or close any other cards. So everything you do, you want to kind of just experiment. Do whatever you want to do and then look at the impact it's had on your credit score. So that is what the 6 steps are for travel hacking made easy. Feel free to comment below if you have any questions. This is a topic I really love to talk about. This is something I do frequently, and although I may not be an expert, I know there are some people out there that really nerd out on this stuff. I try to keep it as simple as possible to make it sustainable. One other thing I wanted to just go through with you guys is if you are just getting started and the $3,000 to $4,000 in 3 months spend seems pretty high, there are some other credit cards that have lower spend options like $1,000 in the first 3 months. So those are usually great starter cards. A lot of times those don't even have annual fees, but you're just not going to get as much in bonus rewards. So one option is the Bank of America Travel Rewards card. That is a great starter card because it's only $1,000 in spend in 90 days. And it gives you $250 in a travel credit to be used towards anything related to travel. So think Airbnb, train tickets, etc. Another one is the Southwest Premier Card. I love the Southwest credit cards if you do a lot of domestic travel and you have Southwest Airlines available to you, because their points redemption value is so good. So the Southwest Premier Card, you can actually get 50,000 points on Southwest for spending $1,000 in 3 months, and this is worth $750 in free travel. Now, this card does have a $99 annual fee, so keep that in mind. Another good airline starter card is the United Explorer card. This gives you 50,000 points, not dollars, I wish, after spending $3,000 in 3 months. So that's a little bit higher of a spend requirement, it's great for United if you are a frequent United flyer or have access to United flights. The annual fee is $95, but it's waived during the first year. So you'll find that that is sometimes the case where the intro annual fee is $0. And then if you close it before year 2, you essentially will never pay that annual fee. So that's a really great way to do things. So again, let me know if you have any questions. Comment below with what you do for travel hacking and where you're excited to go and redeem your points and miles. Happy hacking, guys.